The first warning came from the quantum sensors at the Lunar Research Station. Dr. Sarah Chen was reviewing the morning's data streams when every monitor in the facility lit up with impossible readings. The quantum fluctuation patterns weren't random noise. They formed perfect geometric sequences that pulsed with mathematical precision. Director Reynolds. Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic interface, isolating the signal patterns. "I need you to see this immediately." James Reynolds appeared at her station within minutes, his usually composed demeanor shaken by the data scrolling across the screens. "How long?" 3 minutes and counting. "Whatever this is, it's deliberately created. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database." Before Reynolds could respond, a blinding flash of light erupted beyond the station's observation windows. Where empty space had existed moments before, massive ships materialized, their surfaces gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around them. 7 vessels in total, each one larger than any spacecraft humanity had ever constructed. The flagship alone dwarfed Earth's largest space station, its hull adorned with symbols that pulsed with internal light. Earth's communications networks crashed simultaneously, only to reactivate moments later with a single broadcast that reached every screen, every device, every corner of human civilization. The being that appeared bore only a passing resemblance to humanity. Its skin was a shifting metallic sheen, with eyes that burned like distant stars. "People of Earth, I am Sovereign Nexer of the Asterian Empire. Your world has been chosen." The alien's voice resonated with harmonics that seemed to bypass the ears and speak directly to the mind. "For millennia, we have watched your species develop, waiting for the moment you might prove worthy of ascension. That time has come, whether you desire it or not." Worldwide panic erupted as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't being invaded, they were being harvested. At the United Earth Defense Command in Geneva, General Maria Santos watched the chaos unfold on multiple screens. "Get me everything we have on those ships. Weapons capabilities, shield configurations, crew estimates. I want it all." Meanwhile, Sarah Chen had made a discovery that would change the course of humanity's response. The quantum patterns weren't just communications, they were the key to understanding the aliens' technological advantage. Their entire technological framework operates on quantum perfection, she explained to the hastily assembled Global Defense Council. Every system, every process, follows absolute mathematical laws. It's incredibly advanced, but also potentially vulnerable. Vulnerable how? General Santos leaned forward, her eyes sharp with interest. They'd eliminated chaos from their equations. Their systems are built on perfect prediction, perfect synchronization. But the universe itself isn't perfect. It's inherently chaotic at the quantum level. We might be able to use that against them. The Asterians didn't wait for humanity to process their arrival. Massive energy beams lanced down from their ships, carving precise geometric patterns into Earth's surface. They weren't attacking. They were sampling, collecting data on every aspect of Earth's biosphere. "Your resistance is anticipated but unnecessary," Sovereign Nexer's second broadcast declared. "We offer ascension, evolution, perfection. Those who accept will be transformed. Those who refuse will be repurposed. You have 24 hours to surrender your world's governing authorities." But humanity had never been good at surrender. As the Global Defense Council debated options, Dr. Chen and her team worked frantically to develop a defense based on their quantum discoveries. They found an unlikely ally in Dr. Marcus Wong, a theoretical physicist whose work on quantum chaos theory had been dismissed as too radical by the scientific establishment. "Their technology is like a perfect crystal," Wong explained, gesturing to the holographic models of Asterian energy signatures. "Beautiful, powerful, but rigid. What happens to a crystal when you introduce the right resonance frequency? It shatters." As the deadline approached, humanity prepared for a war unlike any in history. They weren't fighting with conventional weapons against a conventional enemy. They were about to wage a war of chaos against order, of quantum uncertainty against mathematical perfection. The Asterians had chosen Earth because they saw a species ready for ascension. What they failed to understand was that humanity's greatest strength lay not in perfection, but in their ability to thrive in chaos. In the depths of the Lunar Research Station, Sarah Chen made the final adjustments to their quantum resonance device, humanity's first true weapon against the Asterian Empire. As she worked, a thought struck her. The aliens had spent millennia perfecting their technology, eliminating uncertainty and chaos from their equations. But they had never faced a species that embraced imperfection as a strength. The 24-hour deadline expired in a wave of eerie silence. Humanity's collective breath caught as the massive Asterian vessels shifted in perfect synchronization, their iridescent hulls rippling with patterns of light that defied physical laws. Sovereign Nexar's image materialized globally once again, but this time something had changed. The metallic being's expression carried what could only be described as disappointment. Your species' resistance is predictable. We have studied countless civilizations across the cosmos, and all share this same flaw: the inability to recognize true perfection when it presents itself. The alien ruler's voice resonated with new harmonics that sent shivers through everyone who heard it. Perhaps a demonstration is required. The smallest of the Asterian vessels descended into Earth's atmosphere, positioning itself above the Pacific Ocean. What happened next defied comprehension. A beam of pure energy lanced downward, not to destroy, but to create. Within seconds, a perfect geometric structure arose from the ocean's surface, a crystalline tower that reached nearly a kilometer into the sky. This is but a fraction of what we offer, Nexar continued. Your crude technologies, your inefficient biological forms, your chaotic societies, all can be elevated. Those who accept transformation will experience existence beyond your current understanding. Those who continue to resist, the alien's eyes flared, will be reduced to their base elements and reconstructed in our image. At the Geneva Command Center, General Santos watched the alien structure with growing concern. What are we looking at, Dr. Chen? Sarah's quantum sensors were working overtime, analyzing the impossible tower. It's not just a building. It's a transformation engine. The entire structure is designed to rewrite matter at the quantum level. They're not just planning to conquer Earth. They want to fundamentally change the nature of our reality. Dr. Wang's holographic presence joined the discussion from his lab in Singapore. The energy readings are off the charts, but there's something else. The tower's quantum signature, it's perfectly aligned with the Asterian ships. Too perfect. Explain, Santos demanded. In nature, nothing is this precise. Even quantum entanglement has inherent uncertainties. The Asterians have somehow eliminated quantum chaos entirely from their technology. It's like they're trying to impose mathematical perfection on a universe that fundamentally resists it. The implications were staggering. The Asterians weren't just an advanced alien civilization. They were attempting to rewrite the laws of physics themselves, starting with Earth. Humanity's first coordinated response came from an unexpected quarter. A team of teenage hackers in Mumbai managed to briefly penetrate the tower's outer data layer, revealing fragments of its operational code. The information they gathered was invaluable, but the Asterian response was immediate. The tower pulsed once, and every electronic device within a 100-kilometer radius of Mumbai went dark. When they rebooted, each screen displayed the same message. Crude attempts at understanding will be met with escalating corrections. But those precious seconds of access had revealed something crucial. Dr. Chen's team worked through the night, analyzing the stolen data. Their entire system is based on quantum harmonics, she explained to the Global Defense Council. They're not just using technology. They're trying to impose their own version of reality on our universe. Can we stop them? The question came from President Chen of the Asian Alliance, her holographic form flickering with concern. Maybe, Sarah replied. But we need to think differently. They expect us to fight with conventional weapons, to be predictable in our resistance. But what if we could introduce quantum chaos into their perfect systems? Not just as an attack, but as a fundamental disruption of their entire technological framework. Dr. Wang's eyes lit up with understanding. Like introducing a virus into a computer system, but at the quantum level. We don't need to match their power. We just need to remind the universe that chaos is its natural state. The Asterians' next demonstration drove home the urgency of their situation. The crystalline tower began to pulse with rhythmic waves of energy, and the ocean around it started to change. Water molecules realigned themselves into perfect geometric patterns, spreading outward in a slowly expanding circle of transformation. "Your oceans are inefficient," Nexer's voice echoed across the world. "Like everything else on your world, they can be perfected. This process will continue until you understand the inevitability of transformation. Your biological forms, your chaotic thoughts, your imperfect societies, all will be reconstructed in accordance with universal harmony." But as humanity watched in horror, Dr. Chen made a crucial breakthrough. The quantum readings from the transformed water showed microscopic fluctuations, tiny imperfections in the Asterians' perfect system. The universe itself was fighting back against their imposed order. "We don't need to destroy them," she whispered, watching the data streams. "We just need to amplify what the universe is already doing. They've built their empire on the assumption that they can perfect reality itself. But what happens to a perfect system when you introduce just the right amount of chaos?" In labs across the globe, humanity began to prepare its response. They weren't just fighting for their survival now. They were fighting for the right to remain imperfect, to exist in harmony with the universe's natural state of beautiful chaos. The Asterians had spent millennia perfecting their systems, eliminating uncertainty from their equations. They never considered that their greatest weakness would be the very perfection they prized above all else. While the Asterians continued their methodical transformation of Earth's oceans, humanity prepared for what would either be their greatest triumph or their final stand. Operation Prometheus, named after the mythological figure who gave fire to humanity, took shape in underground facilities across the globe. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic representation of their quantum resonance device, now upgraded with insights gained from studying the Asterian Tower. "Their entire civilization is built on the principle of perfect harmony," she explained to the assembled military and scientific leaders. "But they've created something fundamentally unnatural, a system that attempts to deny the universe's inherent chaos." In Singapore, Dr. Wang's team had made a breakthrough. They discovered that human consciousness itself generated quantum fluctuations that the Asterians couldn't predict. "Our very thoughts introduce chaos into their equations," he explained. "They see it as a flaw, but it's our greatest weapon." The plan took shape. They would build quantum resonance amplifiers that could harness and amplify the natural chaos present in human consciousness. These devices would be synchronized with the background quantum fluctuations of the universe itself, not to create perfect harmony, but to enhance the natural discord that the Asterians tried so hard to eliminate. But they needed more time. The crystalline tower's transformation effect had already reached several kilometers into the Pacific, creating an ever-expanding zone of perfect geometric water that refused to follow the natural laws of fluid dynamics. Marine life that came into contact with it either fled or was transformed into crystalline structures that pulsed with alien energy. Sovereign Nexer's next transmission carried an air of smug satisfaction. "Your oceans begin to understand perfection. Soon, they will achieve true harmony. This is but the first step in your world's ascension. Resist further, and we will accelerate the process. Your atmosphere will be next." In response, humanity launched what appeared to be a desperate conventional attack. Hypersonic missiles and energy weapons struck the Asterian ships from multiple vectors, all carefully calculated to appear uncoordinated and primitive. As expected, the aliens' perfect defenses neutralized every weapon. "Predictable." Nexer's voice resonated across the globe. Your weapons cannot penetrate our harmonic shields. Each attack is anticipated before it begins. Each trajectory calculated to mathematical perfection. You cannot defeat pure logic with chaos. But the attack was merely a distraction. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, in a facility shielded from quantum observation, Dr. Chen's team activated their first quantum resonance amplifier. The device looked deceptively simple, a crystalline sphere filled with a swirling quantum mist, powered by the combined consciousness of 1,000 meditation masters who had trained their minds to generate specific patterns of thought. "We're not trying to break their shields," Sarah explained to General Santos as they monitored the first test. "We're reminding the universe of its natural state. Their technology requires perfect quantum coherence. We're introducing controlled uncertainty." The effects were subtle at first. Tiny fluctuations in the Asterian shields, microscopic imperfections in their perfect geometric patterns. But like a crack in a diamond, these small imperfections began to spread. The Asterians noticed. Their ships shifted position, attempting to re-establish perfect harmony. But humanity had learned from studying their patterns. Teams of quantum physicists and chaos mathematicians worked alongside artists and musicians, creating what they called quantum jazz, patterns of deliberate uncertainty that played havoc with the aliens' rigid systems. In orbit, the smallest Asterian vessel suddenly flickered, its perfect surface momentarily distorting. The effect lasted less than a second, but it proved their theory. The aliens weren't invincible. They were vulnerable precisely because of their perfection. "Full power to all amplifiers," General Santos ordered. "Begin Phase 2 of Operation Prometheus." Across the globe, quantum resonance amplifiers activated in carefully calculated sequence. Each one was powered by a different aspect of human consciousness. Musicians playing improvised jazz, children engaged in spontaneous play, artists in the midst of creative flow. The quantum chaos generated by human creativity and unpredictability began to ripple through spacetime. The crystalline tower in the Pacific faltered, its perfect geometric patterns developing subtle distortions. The transformed water began to remember its natural state, chaos and order finding their natural balance once again. Sovereign Nexer's next transmission showed the first signs of genuine concern. "Your attempts to introduce disorder into perfection are futile. Chaos is a disease that must be eliminated. We have spent millennia perfecting our harmony. You cannot undo this with your primitive understanding of quantum mechanics." But Sarah Chen and her team knew something the Asterians didn't. Humanity's greatest strength lay not in achieving perfection, but in finding beauty in imperfection. Each quantum resonance amplifier was tuned not just to disrupt the aliens' perfect systems, but to enhance the natural quantum fluctuations that made life itself possible. As Operation Prometheus reached full power, humanity prepared for the Asterians' response. They had struck the first meaningful blow against the aliens' perfect empire, but victory was far from assured. The real battle was just beginning. A war between perfection and chaos, between imposed harmony and natural discord. And deep in her quantum labs, Sarah Chen watched the data streams with growing hope. The universe itself seemed to be joining the fight, its natural quantum fluctuations amplifying humanity's efforts. Perhaps this was why the Asterians had chosen Earth, not because humanity was ready for perfection, but because they still remembered how to dance with chaos. The Asterian response to Operation Prometheus was swift and devastating. Their ships moved in perfect formation, generating quantum harmonic waves that threatened to overwhelm humanity's resonance amplifiers. The crystalline tower in the Pacific began to pulse with renewed energy, its transformation effect accelerating. "They're adapting." Dr. Wang's hologram flickered urgently in the Geneva Command Center. "Their systems are attempting to compensate for the quantum chaos we introduced." But Sarah Chen had anticipated this. "They can only adapt in perfect, predictable ways," she said, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. "And that's exactly what we wanted them to do." Humanity's counterstrike began not with a bang, but with a song. In thousands of locations worldwide, musicians began playing, not in harmony, but in controlled discord. Jazz musicians improvised alongside classical orchestras, while traditional instruments from every culture joined digital synthesizers in creating what would later be called the Earth's Symphony of Chaos. Each note, each beat, each discord generated unique quantum fluctuations that the resonance amplifiers captured and enhanced. The Asterian ship's perfect geometric patterns began to waver as they encountered something their mathematics couldn't predict: the quantum signature of human creativity. Sovereign Nexar's voice boomed across the global communications network, but now there was a distinct edge of uncertainty in its harmonics. Your attempt to corrupt perfection is an affront to universal order. You force us to take more direct measures. The Asterian flagship descended from orbit, its massive hull reflecting sunlight in impossible patterns. Energy began to build around its equator, promising destruction on a scale humanity had never witnessed. But this, too, was anticipated. Now, General Santos ordered. In that moment, humanity revealed its true counterstrike. The quantum resonance amplifiers weren't just defensive tools. They were the key components of a weapon designed to turn the Asterians' perfect harmony against them. Dr. Chen's team had discovered that by introducing precisely calibrated quantum chaos into the alien systems, they could create a cascading effect of uncertainty. From hidden bases across the globe, hundreds of quantum pods launched into the atmosphere. Each contained a miniature resonance amplifier powered by a different expression of human consciousness. Children's laughter, lovers' whispers, artists' inspiration, scientists' curiosity. As they ascended, they began generating overlapping fields of quantum uncertainty. The Asterian ships responded exactly as predicted, their perfect systems attempting to compensate for each new source of chaos. But with each adjustment, they became more vulnerable to the next wave of uncertainty. Their fundamental flaw isn't their technology, Sarah explained as she monitored the cascading effects. It's their inability to accept that perfection itself is imperfect. The universe requires both order and chaos to function. The first Asterian vessel to fall was their smallest scout ship. As the quantum chaos reached a critical threshold, its perfect geometric form began to unravel. The ship didn't explode or break apart. Instead, it seemed to remember that it was made of normal matter, subject to normal physics. Its transformed materials reverted to their natural states, its perfect energy patterns dissolving into normal spacetime. Sovereign Nexar's next transmission showed visible distress. "What have you done? This is impossible. Our harmony cannot be disrupted by primitive chaos." But it could, and it was. The quantum pods continued their ascent, each one adding its unique discord to the symphony of chaos. The crystalline tower in the Pacific began to lose its perfect geometry, its transformed waters returning to their natural state. Humanity's military forces launched their coordinated attack, but not with conventional weapons. Instead, they deployed what Dr. Wong had dubbed chaos bombs, devices that generated localized fields of extreme quantum uncertainty. Against normal enemies, they would have been useless. Against the Asterians' perfect systems, they were devastating. The aliens attempted to regroup, their ships forming complex geometric patterns that should have strengthened their quantum harmonics. But humanity had learned to predict their patterns of perfection. Each new formation was met with precisely calculated chaos. "They still don't understand," Sarah said, watching the battle unfold. "They think we're trying to destroy them. We're trying to free them." In orbit, more Asterian ships began to falter as their perfect systems encountered levels of quantum chaos they had never evolved to handle. Their attempts to maintain harmony became increasingly desperate, each perfect solution creating new vulnerabilities for humanity to exploit. But victory wasn't assured. The Asterian flagship remained operational, its massive hull now pulsing with energy that threatened to rewrite the quantum structure of Earth's atmosphere. Sovereign Nexar had one final card to play, a demonstration of power that would force humanity to question whether their embrace of chaos was worth the price of survival. As the battle reached its climax, Dr. Chen made a startling discovery in the quantum data streams. The Asterians' reaction to chaos wasn't just tactical, it was existential. Their entire civilization was built on the principle of perfect harmony, and humanity wasn't just fighting their technology. They were challenging the very foundation of Asterian existence. The final confrontation would determine more than just Earth's fate. It would answer a fundamental question about the nature of existence itself. Could perfect order survive in a universe that demanded chaos? The answer would reshape both civilizations forever. The Asterian flagship hung in the sky like a wounded god, its once perfect geometric patterns now rippling with unstable quantum fluctuations. But wounded gods are often at their most dangerous. Sovereign Nexar had one final gambit, one that would test humanity's commitment to chaos over perfection. You believe chaos is strength. Nexar's voice resonated across Earth's communications networks, but now it carried undertones of something almost human, desperation. Let us show you true power born of perfect order. The flagship's hull began to transform, its surface flowing like liquid metal as it reconfigured into something new. Energy readings went off the scale as it channeled power from the other remaining vessels, forming a vast quantum transmission array. They're trying to force transform the entire planet. Dr. Wang's voice cracked with alarm. They're going to attempt a complete quantum rewrite of Earth's fundamental structure. In the Geneva Command Center, Sarah Chen watched the readings with growing horror. If they succeed, they won't just transform our world. They'll rewrite the quantum signature of every living thing on Earth. We'll become like them, incapable of embracing chaos. But as humanity prepared for what seemed like their final moments of free existence, Sarah noticed something extraordinary in the quantum data streams. The Asterians' desperate gambit had revealed their greatest secret. "Look at these patterns," she whispered, enhancing the quantum signatures. "They're not natural. The Asterians, they did this to themselves. They weren't born perfect. They chose to eliminate chaos from their existence, to rewrite their own quantum signatures until they became what they are now." General Santos leaned forward. "How does this help us?" "Because their perfection isn't just their strength, it's their prison. And deep in their quantum code, there are echoes of what they used to be, before they chose perfect order over natural chaos." Understanding dawned across the command center. Humanity's quantum resonance amplifiers weren't just weapons. They were keys that could unlock ancient memories buried in the Asterians' quantum structure. "All stations, switch to frequency pattern Delta," Sarah commanded. "We're not going to fight their perfection anymore. We're going to remind them of who they used to be." The quantum pods adjusted their output, no longer generating pure chaos, but instead producing patterns that echoed the quantum signatures of natural life. The symphony of chaos transformed into something new, a song that spoke of balance between order and discord, of the beauty found in imperfection. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The flagship's transformation beam continued to build power, threatening to rewrite Earth's reality. But then, something changed in the Asterian quantum signatures. Microscopic fluctuations appeared in their perfect patterns, not from humanity's weapons, but from within their own systems. Sovereign Nexar's next transmission was different. The alien leader's voice wavered with unfamiliar emotions. What are you showing us?" "These patterns. I remember." The transformation beam faltered as ancient memories began to surface across the Asterian fleet. Their perfect harmony became interwoven with fragments of their original nature, the chaos they had sacrificed in their quest for perfection. "We evolved beyond chaos." Nexar's voice carried confusion now. "We achieved perfection." "No," Sarah broadcast in response. "You didn't evolve beyond chaos. You amputated it. But chaos isn't a flaw to be eliminated. It's essential to life itself. Look at your own quantum signature. Even after millennia of perfection, there's still chaos within you, waiting to be remembered." The flagship's perfect geometry began to shift, not in the calculated patterns of before, but in organic, almost natural ways. Across the fleet, Other ships showed similar changes as their crews encountered long-buried truths about their own nature. How do you bear it? Nexar asked, genuine curiosity replacing the harmonic perfection in its voice. The uncertainty, the disorder. We bear it because that's where life happens, Sarah replied. In the space between order and chaos, in the beauty of imperfection, in the joy of unpredictability. That's what you saw in us. Not a species ready for perfection, but one that remembered what you had forgotten. The transformation beam powered down. Across the Pacific, the crystalline tower began to dissolve, its perfect structures returning to natural ocean waves. The Asterian ships hung in orbit, their surfaces now showing patterns that combine geometric precision with organic fluidity. Perhaps, Nexar's final transmission carried a new harmony, one that embraced both order and chaos. It is we who need to evolve, not toward perfection, but toward truth. The Asterian fleet departed Earth's orbit, not in perfect formation, but in a flowing natural pattern that reminded Sarah of birds in flight. They left behind not a transformed world, but a transformed understanding of existence itself. In the years that followed, humanity would learn that their victory had rippled across the galaxy. Other civilizations under Asterian rule began to remember their own natural states, finding strength in the balance between chaos and order. The perfect empire began its transformation into something new, something that recognized that true harmony couldn't exist without discord. And on Earth, in the quantum labs where it all began, Sarah Chen kept a small crystal from the dissolved tower. In the right light, its structure showed both perfect geometry and chaotic patterns, a reminder that the greatest truths lie not in extremes, but in the dance between them. The universe, after all, had never intended for perfection. It had intended for life. Beautiful, chaotic, imperfect life. To find its own way through the cosmic dance of order and chaos.